They won here 2 years ago, and they'll fancy their chances of doing that game. It's a very, very dangerous game for Celtic. But as we spoke about after the game in Atalanta, the game in Bergamo, didn't make that mistake, the game in Bergamo against Atalanta, Celtic and golfing parlance are 1 under, aren't they? Because I think most people would have thought after 4 games in this section, Celtic would have had 4 points. They've got the 4 points after 3, so anything they can get tomorrow night, again, you're in bonus territory again. So I think Celtic can relax a wee bit, but it's going to be a very, very difficult game.
Let me hit all of you with this comment here we've had sent in on Facebook. Joe McCasey, people are bringing up Leipzig, but I fully expect Celtic to win tomorrow. This is a side that's lost at Celtic Park and Ibrox in recent years. Now, obviously, that was very different Leipzig teams, to be fair. But I definitely feel, Keith, that there's a confident feeling among Celtic and the fans going into this one.
Yeah, and that's a worry as well, isn't it? Let's not kind of. And I think Brendan Rodgers went to great lengths today to maybe bring the expectation bar down a little bit by stressing again and again that this side is the same level as Atalanta, the same level as Borussia Dortmund. Well, actually higher than Dortmund in the Bundesliga right now. That tells you how dangerous, potentially perilous this is for Celtic. But as Swanee said, do you know what? A point's a good result. And, obviously Celtic won't set out to get a point. I think they will set out to try and win the game. I think Brendan Rodgers has learned. He talked about that today, the learnings that he's made. He after Dortmund, he said he wouldn't change things for Atalanta. We clearly see that he did change it. Celtic were so much tighter, sharper all over the pitch. They're so much more diligent in terms of shutting down spaces, and that sort of defensive fine-tuning will be required, even though Celtic will set out to win this game.
Yeah.
But it's just as Swanee says. And I think another thing that came up at today's press conference was, Brendan Rodgers was asking the fans to respect the club's wishes, do not bring pyrotechnics to the stadium.
Yeah.
And I think, Swanee, that could play a major part in this. If somebody is stupid enough to do that, or a bunch of people is stupid enough to do that tomorrow night, there's a danger that parts of Celtic's ground could get shut down later in this campaign when they're facing the very games that you put a circle round at the start to say these are the winnable ones, and these are the ones that can get Celtic into the playoffs. So you kind of hope that there's a bit of common sense there as well, Swanee, don't you?
Well, I mean, you would like to think, given those circumstances and given the messages for the manager, that is going to seep through. I don't think there's anything more I can say. There's nothing more any of us can say on that. If you're not listening, if you don't see the threats and you're not listening to what your manager's telling you, then there's no hope for you.
Just to go back to the football, guys, before we let you go, Swanee, Brendan Rodgers, well, has been absolutely formidable in domestic football. Second to none. But Europe is the one area where he himself will know he has to do better and he has to progress more in. I thought it was interesting, Keith, in the semi-final at the weekend. Everyone was made about he's Tom Fords and falling over and all that.
Yeah.
But no one's really concentrated why. He was putting the ball into the pitch. When do you ever see Rodgers doing that?
Well, that was fascinating. And at the press conference today, while asking him about, how he enjoys the challenge and relishes the challenge, he did say just moments before that the reason that he slipped on his Tom Fords was because he was looking at a sloppy period of play. They were being careless with passes. And his point today was, well, you know what? You can do that domestically without getting damaged. But if you do that against Leipzig tomorrow night, we've got all kinds of trouble coming.
Punished.
And that's exactly the point he's made. And he referenced it, told it against himself. That was the reason he got booked at the weekend. Not because he was worried about how the Aberdeen game was going. But if he sees that sort of sloppiness replicated tomorrow night, there's going to be bother.
Yeah. And just to back up what Keith said, I think we all remember Celtic won a domestic game 6-0 prior to playing a Bundesliga team the last time.
Yeah.
And there were sloppy moments at St Johnson.
Very
just
good
little
point.
bits now and then. And that's why he's trying to iron them out, because he knows what the jump is going to be. He knows that. And he wants Celtic playing at this high-intensity elite level at all times. That is what he's looking for. And if they step off the gas at any point domestically, he clearly realises it could have an effect going into the next game.